Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the midweek episode at the beginning of June of Birds vs. Boys. OTAs are starting. Other teams, we are hearing about actual football being played on the field for their respective teams. And in Dallas, we are hearing about leadership issues and players that are not on the field. We will get into that soon. But before, Aidan, how are you?
I'm great. And before we get into all the football, the reason I'm great, we may have to spin this show. We may have to spin it to a whole nother sport. The way the standings are sitting right now, two best teams in baseball, 44 wins, best record in each league, the Yankees and the Philadelphia Phillies.
Dude.
We might go from Birds versus Boys to Yanks versus Phils.
I mean, and the problem is I actually really enjoy the Phillies, which is hurtful to me. I mean, I'm actually where I live now. I'm literally watching the Phillies every night. I don't get to watch the Yankees every night because I don't have the YES network. So it's like I'm following on the highlights and on the phone, but I'm really watching the Phils. But yeah, I mean, both teams are so much fun too, which is great. I mean, the Yankees have Gill, who's, this young phenom pitcher. Rodon's come around, and you have the Phillies who are just, they find ways to win every different kind of way.
Yeah, the starting pitching staff is just, I mean, they have 4 people in the top 6 in terms of ERA in the National League. And then there's a lot of star power on both teams. I know Aaron Judge is again going off. Our football seasons might have the Aaron Judge watch again, which feels like a moment in time you forget about.
Yep.
But I just thought that was so funny when we had the concept of this show. It was supposed to be these teams are normally good, we'll be heated, we'll be arguing with each other. And then the first year we did it, this is terrible. Bad. And now it's turned into actually our baseball teams might be the first ones to like actually meet up when something matters.
And speaking of the Yankees right now too, they don't even have Garrett Cole yet, who just made his first rehab appearance. Yeah. So
that's what's crazy. Our teams might get better. Like we don't have Trey Turner, and you guys haven't had Garrett Cole all year. These teams might get better.
And they both might make deals at the deadline to get even better if they continue to be this good.
Yeah, what happened to hold on? These teams are so well run. We've been talking about criticizing our football teams for so long. I don't even know how to start a podcast where you just give nothing but praise to the team that you love. We have a farm system. We could trade for one of the best center fielders in the game and still keep like 3 top 50 prospects. I'm like, insane. What's happening?
It's insane. It's insane. But it is true. And that is the love of sports. I don't know if you saw this too before we get fully into football. I tweeted this. Hold on, let me see. Yesterday from KMS22. Follow me on Twitter. Nice. But this summer sports schedule is insane. So we have Major League Baseball all summer, right? Obviously. We have the CONCACAF Cup that's starting, I believe, next Saturday, June 20th. Then we have the U.S. Open golf tournament, June 13th to June 16th. Nice. Then the Euros soccer tournament, which is basically the World Cup of Europe, runs from June 14th to July 14th. We have Wimbledon, July 1st to July 14th. Then the Open, the British Championship, July 18th to July 21st. Then we have the Olympics from July 26th to August 11th. Then we have College football week 0, August 24th. Then we have U.S. Open tennis, August 26th to September 8th. And then we have NFL week 1, September 5th.
That is phenomenal. All of those summer things are great events. They get us through the summer. They're fun to watch. And I would trade them all for Penn State, Illinois on September 28th.
Yep. Did you see the college football playoff schedule?
Yep. That's even better. Okay, let's get into the football side of this. The college football schedule. We talked about this and how they're going to 18 games and they play every day and it's on different streaming networks with the NFL and how that can be exhausting. I looked at that and I was like, sign me up. Every day there's football.
Did you see there was like a Wednesday 1:00 playoff game?
Yeah, crazy. I forget what day, but
awesome.
Amazing. Oh, awesome. And it's high. It's not, we're talking about any games. Like we're getting good football.
And I just cannot wait to see playoff college football in college football stadiums.
Yep.
Like in actual, like, can you imagine a playoff game in Happy Valley? Like a night whiteout playoff game?
I would love it. or anywhere. I was gonna say
Notre
like
Dame.
Athens, Georgia, like how fun that would be.
Mhm.
Imagine last year, like if Michigan were playing those games at the Big House.
Oh my
I
God.
think that's kind of what's been missing from the college football ranks is they've always had bowl games, like the Rose Bowl, iconic, right? Like I love watching
Yep.
it there.
Yep.
But sometimes, like when it's at the Superdome, you lose that college feel to
Yep.
it.
When it's a
So they're like,
Cowboys stadium or in Arizona, yeah, it's
yeah,
not the same.
Glendale or like the Cotton Bowl at AT&T Stadium, like it doesn't have that college feel to it.
Yep.
But if I'm watching Michigan, Texas in Austin under the lights,
Oh,
that for a playoff, like that's just different.
love it. Love
Love
every second of it.
I love football so much.
Me too. All right, let's get into our football teams. Before we really jump into it, I have to give my RIP to
Go for it.
one of the best players to play not only for the Dallas Cowboys but for the entire league, in Larry Allen. I know you did get to watch him play because he did play into the 2000s. I think he retired in 2004, 2005, came into the league in 95. And this is insane, Aidan. He played from, I think, 95 to 2004, and he was in both the 90s all-decade team and the 2000s all-decade team, and he missed half the decade in both of them.
That's honestly remarkable. Yeah, he split the decades up perfectly in half and still made the all-decade team for both. Phenomenal.
I just watching him play, and I heard someone say this, and it's so true. The people that didn't get to watch him play live, when they hear the people who did watch him play, are be like, all right, you're exaggerating. Like, he sounds like a mythical creature from Game of Thrones, which he is. The people that did watch him play, when we listen to others talk about him watch him play, think we're underestimating him when we talk about it, because he was that good. Like, hearing John Madden just take over games and talk about how good he was and break down guard play, he literally played every single position on the offensive line besides center. And I think he would be on, if you made a Mount Rushmore, all greatest time offensive line from league history, he's on it, and you can have him almost at any position but center.
I think he might be considered a pioneer then, because when you look at how teams are trying to draft offensive line now, they're trying to go multi-position. Can you play guard? Can you like either guard swing into center or the opposite, play tackle swing into guard? So the fact that he could play across the line, a guy before his time, and doing it at a dominating level. And I'll tell you what a throwback, just old school, traditional, pure football to hear John Madden break down Larry Allen
was
film.
awesome.
Like, that's just as pure football as it gets. That's awesome.
It was awesome. And I don't know if you saw, we tweeted from Birds vs. Boys too.
Yeah,
Michael Strahan talked about, no, it was Justin Tuck. I'm sorry. Justin Tuck talked about the hardest person he ever went against. And he was like, it was Larry Allen, and it wasn't even close. And he's like, and I got old Larry Allen, not even like in his prime Larry Allen. And he's like, he wouldn't like talk on the field. He wasn't a big talker in terms of media. I know Troy Aikman, I think it was in 98, tried to get, they were switching offensive coordinators. It was kind of past when they were winning the Super Bowls, and he was trying to get Larry Allen to take over the team, because he's like, Larry, it's your team if you want it. But he just wasn't that guy. Like, he'll help teammates. Everybody says what a great person he was, but he just wasn't like that. But Justin Tuck said he would stand across the line from the D lineman and just go, choo choo, and do a choo choo train, basically telling them, I'm coming right through your face and there's nothing you can fucking do about it. And then Emmitt Smith would rack off 9 yards right in their face.
That'd be like being out in the street and hearing the purge alarm go off. Like,
Literally.
I've got no protection for the next 24 hours and crime is illegal. The next
I'm
3
done.
snaps, crime is legal for what's about to happen to me.
And they literally said rookie Larry Allen, you wouldn't know, in 94 in the NFC Championship game against the 49ers, which the Cowboys lost, he rolled his ankle and didn't get to play the rest of the game. The Cowboys lost by 10. And people on both sides say that was the turn. Like, if Larry Allen, because Troy Aikman got his ass beat the rest of the game, they would have won that game and gotten to another Super Bowl if he didn't get hurt. And that just shows just how incredible of an athlete he was, an asset, excuse me, to the team that he was. Seeing guys like Emmitt Smith literally sobbing on Instagram about it, while at the same time is like he didn't come around anymore. Like all the players have been like, yeah, we haven't seen him in years because he was so invested in his family.
Love that.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And it's like his Hall of Fame speech, it was great. You go back and he grew up in Compton and he's like, yeah, one time I was protecting my little brother and there was a bigger dude and I got stabbed during the fight and but I protected my brother and then he like nonchalant rolled off his back and went to the next story. He got stabbed 12 times, not just once in the fight.
He was the original Get Rich or Die Trying cover with 50 Cent when he got shot 9 times.
Yeah, I just got stabbed. I guess if you get stabbed once, you get stabbed 12 times. It's the same. I don't know. But
I don't know. I hope to never find out. But
my heart kind of sank. It's just another one of those. It's like, wow, somebody that I really grew up watching. And now as you get old, like 52 is really not that old. But I mean, just a mythical creature in terms of what he did on the football field and hearing how he was with his family makes his life sound even better. So rest in peace to Larry Allen, an all-time great. And probably also, I'll leave it with this as a funny story. Probably one of the best draft picks the Cowboys have ever made. He was drafted in the 2nd round out of Sonoma State. And the Cowboys, during the draft process, he fell through the 1st round, and the coaches and the offensive line coach in the beginning of the 2nd round are like, we love this guy. Like, what are we missing here? And they're like, let's go watch a little more tape. And they watch some tape and they're like, we're not missing anything. And for some reason he fell to them and they got him. But some teams had him medically red flagged. He had a rotator cuff injury and they're like, yeah, he's not going to last years in the league. One of those teams was the Green Bay Packers. And every time the Cowboys and the Packers played, the GM would go down to the field and the head trainer and the doctor was there who didn't clear him. And the GM would put his arm around the doctor's shoulders and point. He goes, hey, you see 73 down there? It's like, yeah. He goes, he's going to kick our ass up and down the field all day today. And you told me he couldn't play football anymore.
Yeah, that's one of those, like, every time you're playing, you're like, please, please, please don't go off on me.
That's like the, what's his name? Dad. We've talked about this. He was a quarterback. Danny Cannell. Danny Cannell's dad was the head trainer for the Miami Dolphins, and he did not clear Drew Brees when they wanted to pick him up in free agency. So they did not sign him, and they signed Dante Culpepper instead. Mm-hmm. And then he went on to play for the Saints.
Brees won a Super Bowl with the Saints. Crazy.
Oh, God. Gotta love it. All right. OTAs.
Mandatory minicamp. You gotta be here. You gotta be here now. You gotta be in the building. No more volunteering.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta be there, right? Everyone's there for the Cowboys, correct?
Yeah, most people. It's mostly training camp. I don't know which story do you want to start with. I mean,
I think there's a chain reaction that connects both of our teams with somebody else. And it kind of leads into everything going on with the Cowboys and kind of why people are confident in the Eagles. So we touched on this in other shows. Justin Jefferson was kind of waiting to see the wide receiver market. Well, wait no more. He's getting paid. Yep. He is obviously now the highest paid receiver in the league. Additional $88 million.
Highest guaranteed. Non-paid quarterback of all time.
He is the highest non-paid quarterback of all time and the highest paid receiver in the league right now. That leaves CeeDee Lamb without a deal. It leaves Devontae Smith's deal looking ridiculous to the point that the Eagles' former GM, Joe Banner, said that Smith should fire his agent for the deal he got him and the extension. So it kind of trickle-down economics have finally worked. It took about 40 years, but we're here. Justin Jefferson gets paid, and now it's impacting both of our teams in a variety of ways.
So we did talk about this in terms of like who was waiting out who, right? Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, where was CeeDee kind of waiting to see what Justin Jefferson got and then say, okay, he fell at X and I'm worth Y underneath it. or was Justin Jefferson kind of holding out for someone like CD to see that deal and be like, okay, I am X million dollars better than him. Give me this. Well, we got our answer. Jefferson got his deal first. So now I think the waiting game needs to end in terms of the Jones boys and CeeDee Lamb, and it's time to make a deal, right? I think they need to find a place of X number of millions of dollars under this Justin Jefferson deal that they feel CD is under. Now, you compare the two in terms of their stats and everything, it's not too crazily off, right?
No.
Justin Jefferson leads in some categories, CD leads in others. So CD is going to come to the table with that, and we know how the Jones boys love their players, but when it comes to pay them, do they love them? So I don't know what's going to happen.
I don't either, because and RJ Ochoa, like you mentioned, he put up the graphic. The stats are not that different between the two. Now, you got to take some context to that. Justin Jefferson had been hurt. He missed about half a season. His quarterbacks had also missed half a season when he was there. So the stats are kind of different that way. I do genuinely believe that Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in the league.
Yes.
We both love CeeDee Lamb. And that's kind of the problem for the Cowboys is I'm sure CeeDee's representation is going to say he's on par. Look at these stats. He's on par with Jefferson. Even if you're in the realm of what Justin Jefferson is making,
you're not Justin Jefferson.
You're not Justin Jefferson, but the payment wise, like being in the realm of him with what he got, that's a big chunk of change. If you got to extend to not here where Jefferson is or above him, if you do believe that, being even somewhat close is a lot.
Yep. And did you see also the side-by-side stats of through this point of their career, Justin Jefferson and Randy Moss with the Vikings?
I did not.
So Jefferson was ahead of him, I think, on catches and yards and everything. But the disparity of touchdowns, Jefferson's at 30 touchdowns. Randy Moss was at 53. Like, what?
Crazy. So Randy Moss has some of the funniest stat lines of all time. I know the meme you always see is like the graphic where he had 3 catches for 178 yards and 3 touchdowns. It was like thrown to 3 times, 3 receptions.
Wasn't that against Dallas?
Yards, 3 touchdowns. I think it was, right?
Yeah. That was like that game where because they passed over on it. I think it was Thanksgiving too, where they passed over on him. And then he came back to just haunt them.
Yeah. Crazy numbers. My fear, we'll touch on our teams way more, but my last Justin Jefferson thing, I'm now worried he becomes like the Mike Trout of the NFL, where you look at the stat line, it's like he had 9 receptions for 148 yards and a touchdown, and the Vikings fall 31-14 to the Packers. And it's just like,
cool.
Man. Yeah. It's like, okay, great.
Yeah. We'll see what, JJ McCarthy can do for him.
We'll see.
I wonder if Jefferson's going to learn to have to take the ball in the backfield being handed off to,
like CeeDee Lamb does.
Yeah,
he does more for his team. He's more versatile.
That's another point. I'm sure his representation is going to come out. He's also not only wide receiver 1, but he's RB1 as well.
There you go. That's an extra 10 mil on top. Run that signing bonus. Guaranteed money's up to 90 mil now.
It's got to get done. But understand they have Dak. Maybe they still have to get done. Maybe not. Micah Parsons as well, and that's a whole different story right now too. It's just like, I feel like we're just watching a Netflix documentary on this team in real time right now.
I do too. And it's becoming like the best thing that never was situation. But I don't get it. Like, we can praise Howie Roseman and, he's this genius. Yeah, but not really. Like, he saw like the markets were going up, so he's locked in Devontae Smith.
Yep.
And obviously, like, that deal now is starting to look like a steal right away, but that also like wasn't him. There was not a lot of shape shifting that needed to be done. I know it's beating a dead horse with the Cowboys, but what is the plan? Like, you got all these guys that you've known forever that you're going to need to extend at positions where everyone who gets extended is getting huge record-breaking paydays.
Yep.
Like, I know this is, if you hear this podcast, this is probably your 100th time hearing this about the Cowboys, but I don't get the plan.
What plan?
Exactly. I don't get it. I'm fearful. Like I'm sure the next thing we're gonna touch on, Micah wasn't there for the voluntary stuff. CeeDee Lamb wasn't there for the voluntary stuff. That they're starting to spin some things negatively. The vibes aren't great about Micah. Like if he goes somewhere else, like watching that talent walk out the door, I think would be a catastrophic mistake.
Oh, it'd be catastrophic to the to the fan base. I think finally, if let's say if for some reason catastrophic measures happen, all three of these guys walk, I think that would be the end for some fans, and like to like the cherry on top of just coming back every year. Like, okay, this is our year because like that's the core right now, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Micah is generational. CD has been a dominant top 5 wide receiver for you. And Dak has been arguably, I mean, he was second in MVP voting last year. And he's been a leader. Now he hasn't gotten you where you want to get to or finish the deal in the playoffs, obviously not even come close. But you can't do it to like you got to pay at least somebody, right?
Yeah, it's like, what are you saving it for? It's the mystery box thing that we always touch on. Also, the Phillies just
the salary cap's not real.
The salary cap's not real. And to bring it back to baseball, the Phillies just played the Brewers. They were doing like openers because they didn't have enough starting pitchers. They traded Corbin Burns to the Orioles, and they're saying, well, they did get a haul back from the Orioles. It's like, what could that haul be? It could be like someone as good as Corbin Burns. And it's like the Cowboys have already done everything right. Like they knocked it out of the park again and again and again with their high-priced draft picks. Micah, CeeDee Lamb, and then Tyler Smith. Like, who are you saving the money for if it's not for those guys that you've already drafted and put into your system?
Now, I do think that CD's going to get done. I think they know the power of 88 too in terms of this franchise. You know, Pearson, Irvin, Dez, and now CD. They didn't give him 88 to let him kind of walk after his rookie deal. He's going to get done. He puts butts in seats. He is what Jerry Jones loves in terms of putting on a circus, putting points on the board. So he's going to get done. The bigger, I think, kind of like lurking in the shadows issue right now is the Micah thing. And it's interesting of like where to stand on this, right? It's, the podcast I think got a little much for me in terms of like the Jordan Love thing right after losing to them, and he had CD on it, but it's who he is, right? Like I told you too, there are many people in the building that don't think he's going to play after 30. He's setting up his second life per se, and I don't blame him for that, and he's good at it. So, but the other thing that I think of is at the end of the season, Micah was talking all about leadership and that he was going to take over this team and be the leader, and they needed leadership and they needed to right the ship and help the young guys. If you're going to talk all that game, I feel like you got to be there from the beginning. True. And he did say this week, like, he's like, that's kind of just who I am since my rookie year. I haven't come to this. And I understand the portion of him saying like, listen, I'm an undersized rusher. I get beat up all day. Every year, and this is my time to heal. I feel like I'm getting more out of training with my trainers and preparing for the season, and everything really comes together in training camp. Like that's when the guys mesh. That's when the team comes together. I don't think missing a couple of days in shorts at the team facility is going to mess anything up. And I agree with all that. But at the same time, you can't talk about being the number one leader and leader and not be there and showing the young guys that. It's a very hard thing to figure out of where I stand.
I agree. I think it's you can go. I can see the pendulum swinging both ways because, like he said, you probably do get more out of training on your, which is hilarious because I know his trainer and the gym he trains at in Harrisburg. So knowing that he's there instead of and it's controversial that he's there is very funny, but and he's right. Like he's probably conserving his body by doing so, but optics wise, like this has been an optics nightmare from the moment they stepped on the field with the Packers. They lost, and then you come out and be like, well, We got our ass kicked. We got to get tougher. We need leaders. And then it's like, well, okay, so the rookie class is there. You're not there. It's June. You're not there. So I definitely get it from an optics perspective. It's like, well, maybe this is the year you should have been there and be like, no, we're writing this. Like, we're done. Like this, we're changing things up. New leadership, new tides, new reins.
I literally I'm just seeing the documentary on Netflix in my head. It's called All In, the offseason of the Dallas Cowboys. And it's like on the next episode, the rookies are here in minicamp. Well, Micah's in Japan, and they have like a clip of him like with the sumo wrestler, and then they have a clip of Jerry talking to the media about Micah, and then Micah in Japan eating sushi, and it's like I literally can see the 7-part documentary in my head and hear it all at the same time.
What you described is like a lead into an episode of Arrested Development.
Yes. And that's who they are. They are the Blues.
They are kind of the Blues. If you actually think about it, they kind of are the Blues.
There's always money in the banana stand.
There's always money in the banana stand. Whether that money is going to end up in CeeDee Lamb pocket, we don't know. When they sell the banana stand, it's one of my favorite all-time episodes of TV. When he like literally meant that there was money in the banana stand and they sold it.
That's such an underrated show.
President, he's screaming at him.
Oh God!
Great
you just
show.
see like I think it's probably Jerry Jr. is what's his name? He's like, I blew myself. That's Jerry Jones Jr.
Yeah.
Oh,
it hasn't worked for them.
Isn't it funny that Stephen Jones is the runs everything, and then he's got Jerry Jones Jr. who just like is like given like a title of like public relations, and you just like never see him.
I think who Will McClay or Stephen Jones would probably be Jason Bateman's character.
Yep. Oh
Definitely.
God. I think all right. This is my next task is to figure out who everybody is in the Dallas Cowboys world and Arrested Development.
Yeah, you definitely need to make a thread on Twitter of like Cowboys as Arrested Development characters.
Yep. It's done. It's happening.
I think you could do it.
But it's just I'm going to end with this. It's just like we're not hearing about football, right? Yep. I mean, I've heard a little bit like, and actually I've heard only things that scare me, right? Dak was a little wobbly on 7-on-7 the other day. Oh my God. Trey Lance still looks a little inconsistent. And then again, that wide receiver 3 issue, Jalen or Brooks looks better than Tolbert so far. So the things that we're hearing haven't been great. And then you see Micah Parsons, once he gets there, half of the first day of mandatory minicamps, he was on the side with Greg Ellis, the coach, because he didn't really know what to do yet because they started implementing things in OTAs. But I mean, again, that it's not going to take him very long to run with the ones. I don't think there's going to be a problem with that. But
explaining the grandmaster plan to the Tasmanian devil.
Yeah, I'm one of my number one storylines of this whole season that I'm very intrigued about is the Mike Zimmer, Micah Parsons relationship. I think there's going to be a time where we're definitely going to see a blow up on the sideline. There's going to be a time where Mike is going to miss an assignment and Zimmer's going to pull him off the field. But I think we're also going to see Zimmer put him in spots to thrive coming up the A gap. That's where Zimmer's great A gap blitzes. And that's where we've seen Micah thrive, getting after the quarterback too. So it's going to be a very dynamic and interesting relationship, to say the least. But I've also heard reports that McCarthy's sick and tired of Jerry Jones undermining him. It's just, it's Groundhog Day again.
Should be a fun time. I'm sure these stories won't carry into August. And
I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I think I said it a couple weeks ago. I feel like the Cowboys-Packers game still hasn't ended.
Nope.
Like, it's just been one big continuation of that game all offseason of how the game went.
Sometimes you just don't recover from that like sudden round 1 knockout. Like sometimes it's just, McGregor is supposed to fight in 3 weeks. He's never recovered from that fight where he got not the one where he broke his leg, but the one before that against what's his name.
And Mike Tyson was supposed to fight, and now he's got ulcers. because he's 65 years old.
Yeah, it makes you kind of question why we're doing a fight like that. Somebody's dealing with ulcers.
But you're right. It's like the Dallas Cowboys were one of Mike Tyson's opponents that he knocked out in 13 seconds, and they just never came back ever again.
Yeah. And I can't wait for them to start 4-0 and everything will be fine.
Well, what's going on in your world?
I was going to say, this is exactly what's
Bradbury still on the team?
He is on the team. They're trying him out at different positions, and he immediately got hurt. So that's what's funny. Everything is sunshine and roses here in Philadelphia. I'm sure that means that we're going to also get torched by the Packers when the season starts.
In Brazil.
And whooped our ass. So, but yeah, it's been good so far. A lot of great things in the secondary, which I think is there's two key position groups. It's offensive line and secondary. One was really solid, and now we don't know. One was atrocious, and we think will be solid. Kelee Ringo reports through the roof. He could be starting. He's still 21 years old.
That's insane.
Which is crazy to think about. Again, it felt like a steal at the time. And when you have these larger contracts that you have now, they've locked in AJ Brown, they've locked in Devontae Smith. They obviously have the big deal for Jalen Hurts. To be getting starting level production from a cornerback that you drafted in the 4th round would be so valuable to this team for this year and beyond. Because I'm assuming this will probably be the last year of Slay, just based on age, contract, everything like that. So yeah, Ringo being good it monumentally shifts the entire vision of your team and what you can focus on if you can solidify him in a cornerback role at age 21 for the next 6-7 years. It changes the landscape of your entire team.
It changes everything, especially when the two others that you just got at the 1st and 2nd round this year. It's just you have if he's good, you walk away from Bradbury, you walk away from Slay, and you have the puzzle pieces in place.
You start to look at it after this year, and we'll talk about Bradbury in a second. You look at the cap hits for these guys. Kelee Ringo on a rookie deal.
Nothing.
Quinyon Mitchell, rookie deal. Isaiah Rodgers, really not. He's got to make the money back he put in the FanDuel. Not making too much. Cooper DeJean, 2nd round. Sidney Brown, 2nd round. Reed Blankenship got extended to 2025. He was making less than $1 million. You start to look at the cap hits of these guys.
Yep.
What a secondary you could put together with some serious competitive talent at a very, very low price.
And that is what you have to do when you're actually paying a quarterback.
Yep.
It's everybody says, it's usually flipped, right? That's how the Seahawks did it. They weren't paying the quarterback, Russell Wilson. They could build around him. Once you start to have to pay the quarterback, that's when, things start to go downhill because you don't have money for other places. But if you have your quarterback in place, you're paying your quarterback. It's when you hit on these early young draft picks that are not getting paid, who are performing, of how you can perform and win while paying the quarterback. Or you just have Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I was going to say, or you have Patrick Mahomes. That's really funny. But yeah, I mean, the Eagles have done it the totally opposite way. They're paying a running back. They've obviously paid a quarterback. They've solidified every offensive position. It feels like everyone on the team on offense got an extension, and you heard nothing about defense. Landon Dickerson extension, Mulata extension, Hurts got the extension last year. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith extension. They signed Saquon Barkley. Last year, Goddard got the extension.
Yep.
Everyone got lined up and got paid on offense. So if you're rolling out a secondary of these young guys who can ball out, and you're like, we don't got to worry about extensions for these cats for 2-3 years, you are golden.
It's huge.
Golden.
And I hate it.
I'm just
every second of it.
Yeah, but again, it's June. We gotta see Kelee Ringo when Jordan Love's thrown at him.
Yes.
We gotta see Isaiah Rodgers when the pads finally go on after 2 years. That's a long time. That's another guy. Everyone's saying he looks phenomenal. He looks great. I need to see him in pads. He's the one guy. I just think a large gap like that when you have to miss a whole year in the way he did. I just think that's tough. But
it's not easy.
And it's a unique circumstance too. Like it wasn't like he got injured and he's coming back. And maybe this is better because he didn't get injured, but it's just a large gap of time, right? Anytime you miss a large gap of time. But he's been phenomenal. People are saying he's been with the starters. And then the young guys, like they've been playing Cooper DeJean at multiple positions, which I love. So having him and Sidney Brown where you can kind of just be like, go play Rover. Like we can line you up in the slot. We can let you play safety. Sidney Brown, by the way, running on the sidelines, doing training. So they expect him to be ready for the season. That it's fun, right? Like they're going to be a fun group where you have low expectations because they're young and dumb and don't have a lot of NFL experience. But at the same time, you're like, but they could be something really good. Remind me that I'm excited for them when they get fucking cooked week 2 against like Drake London or something like that.
You never know. That could happen. But those are called, that's called growing pains, though.
Growing pains,
yeah. You're going to have with young kids in the secondary.
Ringo is a perfect example who that Cowboys game, I felt bad for him. Like it was so bad that I felt bad. Turn around Monday Night Football against the Seahawks. I was like, why aren't the rest of you guys playing like him? Why is this rookie the hardest hitter on the team right now? Why is he in on every tackle?
Yep.
And he like coverage stats wise, great. So we'll see. But yeah, the elephant in the room is obviously James Bradbury. He's still on the team. For how long? I don't know. They tried to move him around to safety. He got hurt on day 1 though. So now we don't know. And I don't hate this, right? Like last show we did, we were like June 1st, he'll be gone. It feels like he will still ultimately be gone, but there's no deadline on when he needs to be gone. He doesn't, there's no end of the lease. He needs to be evicted by this date.
Yep. You could just,
so you spend the summer saying, let's try you out somewhere else, see if that works, like safety. Corners have done that before. Patrick Peterson went from corner to safety late in his career. See if it works. If it doesn't, someone gets desperate, they trade for you. Think about how Carson Wentz ended up starting. It was because Sam Bradford got traded to the Vikings when their quarterback got injured in training camp. Something else happens. There's an injury. James Bradbury, we'll trade you. We get off this cap hit. So I think they're just keeping him. I don't think he'll be on the team when the season starts, but
he's like a squatter
for now. He's a squatter. Yes. The problem with squatters, though, if you stay long enough, the house is yours.
Exactly.
So I feel like I'll be touching on this topic all summer. It'll be September. And the person who owns the house, like, what was I supposed to do? Oh, what was I supposed to do with that property? And you're like, go in. You like, what was the passcode? And you walk in. And you're like, you're still here? I thought I evicted you 4 months ago.
Like, nope, it's mine now, bitch.
Nope, now I live here forever. But yeah, so the secondary I think is going to be it'll be fun, but there's question marks. But so far, rave reviews.
I'm just listening to the opposite conversations that we just had.
That doesn't necessarily mean good things.
No,
when you have an NFL report card that says A in April and June, that doesn't mean that week 1 your report card's going to come back A+ when these guys are facing Jordan Love in the back.
That is for sure.
I'm a little bit more worried about that, but for now, all is well.
All is well in Philadelphia.
All is well. Well, the one other position group, offensive line. Just quick on this, Mekhi Becton. Kind of under the radar. He's been playing really well. He was playing. Landon Dickerson was excused from camp, so he wasn't there. They moved Becton into guard. He's been playing really well. Says he's really excited to be here. Kind of open to playing more positions now. We touched on it before, but how important depth is. The amount of guys who missed time last year. Dickerson missed time. Juergens missed time. Lane Johnson, anytime he gets hurt, it's a disaster. Yep. So to have that depth, I think is huge. And it's a position we're just assuming Cam Juergens is going to swing over to center and be great, but he's replacing a guy who is a Hall of Famer. Like it's not going to be just step in and you have a Hall of Fame career. And then that leaves a hole at guard. We're just like assuming Tyler Steen's going to be good. But again, like we've seen him for 2 games.
Yep.
We don't know. Like it worked out pretty well when he was in, but we don't know for sure. So to have Becton in there who has experience and is playing well in camp, I think will go a long way for this team, whether it's a short-term thing or a long-term thing.
He was someone that I was eyeing for the Dallas Cowboys this offseason. Just it's a smart move, big veteran guy, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, okay.
He's a large fella. I'll tell you what. He's
That he is.
He's big.
Because yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with the Cowboys week 1 in terms of offensive line. Everybody says Guyton is somewhat of a project. He's going to be a very good tackle in the long run, but he's only played right tackle. We'll see how he is starting week 1 at left tackle against Myles Garrett.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Welcome to the league, big fella.
That is just mean. That's mean. No one should have to do no one should have to. That should not be your welcome to the league moment.
No.
What they're doing to Caitlin Clark is if you put rookie offensive lineman against Myles Garrett for like 8 straight weeks.
Literally. Poor Caitlin Clark. That's a hole. I got to tell you what, though, I have not heard the WNBA talked about more than I have in the last 3 weeks.
I thought it would be for better reasons when she went to the league, to be honest with you. I thought it would be a more positive, we're talking about hoops approach, but I guess not.
Well, we started with Major League Baseball talk, and now we're ending with WNBA talk.
Classic. I'll bring it home with NFL just to keep it, because this just went live before we recorded. Jeffrey Lurie is expected to explore a minority sale in the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, E-Rock kind of put out a video about this, and I thought it was very informative. They have been training his son to take over the team. So if there is a minority sale in the Eagles, there is no path to you being the owner of the team. It's jarring because you're like, one day Jeffrey Lurie won't be the owner of this team anymore. It's like he is getting older. Mm-hmm. It kind of shakes you a little bit. You're like, oh yeah, like people get older. Like I see with my parents and their friends, like, oh yeah, people get older, right? Like we're just so used to them being in the same state. And then you think about it, it's like, oh yeah, Lurie's had the team almost 30 years now. Like he is getting older, and you have to anticipate that reality of him no longer being the guy who he may be owner in name, but he may not be like operating. So I just thought that was interesting. And then I just have like one beg and plea for this minority sale. Please, under no circumstances, please, I am begging, sell a minority portion of this team to Michael Rubin. Do not do it. I'm begging. Do not let Fanatics in the door. And I don't even know if they can because they have that sports book, but please, 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 I am begging. The last person on earth I want to have a ownership stake in the Philadelphia Eagles is Monopoly Michael Rubin. Please don't do it with him.
I think it's going to be a 3-person team of like Bradley Cooper, Meek Mill, and Mike Trout.
Done. Sign me up.
You imagine?
Yeah, that'd be funny if
Bradley Cooper. And maybe you could even take who could you put in there?
M. Night Shyamalan.
I think Kevin Hart would be a good one too.
He'd be a good one. M. Night Shyamalan would be another one. I'm trying to think of other famous Philly people who have enough money to pull.
I was going to say what's his name from Maverick, but he's more of a Phillies fan.
Miles Teller.
Miles Teller.
Yeah. I don't know if he has ownership money yet.
Yeah, no.
He's got not. Kevin Hart might have ownership
after Top Gun 3.
He probably I think they're recreating Project X. If he makes a cameo in that,
there you go.
Have enough money to put it over the top.
I think Kevin Hart probably would.
Yeah, it'll be some executive we've never heard of before. But yeah,
I wonder what the percentage will be.
Probably like 3.
Yeah,
to be honest.
It's just somebody to be like, I own a football team. That's all that is.
Yeah,
it's just someone with fuck you money that can just walk
say
around
that
saying
they own it, and it kind of. I'm sure it's like a profit play for the Eagles that they. I heard that part of this buying a minority or getting a minority stake is you get revalued, and their valuation is going to be through the roof. So I'm sure that's part of the reason why they're doing it.
I'm sure. All right, I got nothing left.
Me neither. That was a good episode.
It's always fun. Hopefully episodes moving forward, it'll be more fun for me, not resting in peace a player and then talking about leadership qualities that aren't there and massive contracts to wide receivers that aren't on my team and our starting quarterback, not knowing if he's going to be our starting quarterback for long. So it's always sunny in Philadelphia, and it's apparently been nothing but rain in Dallas. But like you said, it's June. So
yeah. Week 1, This could flip in a heartbeat. But for now, it's been another great episode of Yanks vs. Phils. You can find us on YouTube. Please subscribe as we close in on 1,000 subscribers on
So
YouTube
close.
at Birds vs. Boys Pod. And maybe if we hit 1,000, we'll also do a Yanks vs. Phils pod too.
Thank you for listening to the Liberty versus the Sky, the Fever versus the Aces. We will be back next week. If I don't have a child by then, we shall see.
That is not an exaggeration.
If I do have a second child by then, either I will be recording from the hospital room holding a child, or Aidan can do an episode with producer Vince or something. But we will keep the content coming to you. Make sure you follow us right here on our YouTube page. If you're watching, if you have not yet, smash that subscribe button. Like Aidan said, follow us everywhere we are on social media. Birds vs. Boys Pod, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, as well as full episodes anywhere you listen to podcasts, Google, Apple, Spotify. We are there. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Enjoy your summer full of tons of different sporting events while we do nothing but hope the summer away to get to football season.